Okay, that's great. Cool. So welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for coming along to our community call. This is really an opportunity to catch up on all the stuff we've been up to in the last couple of weeks and even uh, the last 2 months since we last met. There's a lot been happening, and I'm really excited to dive into that with you. Um, I'll just briefly go through the agenda for the call. If you could go on to the next slide, John. We're gonna, I think if you scroll down, there we go. Because we've had quite a lot of new people getting involved in the DAO recently, I'm just going to briefly go through the goals and objectives of the DAO. We'll look at some highlights for some of the events that we did recently, what's coming next, and I'll kind of briefly talk about how you can host a V community meetup in your local area. And with different ways to get involved in contributing to the DAO and building out the DAO. Then finally, we'll have a little look at the different circles in the DAO and what those different circles are up to. And yeah, the most important part of the call I really want to get to as quickly as possible is the Q&A. I want to leave as much space as possible for that. So I don't want to bore you with the details of this deck and like get caught up in that. I'll try and go through it as quickly as possible and get to the Q&A. Also, if you have any questions that are coming up, like as we go through this stuff, just drop them in the chat and we'll pick them up as we go. Cool, so let's dive in. So briefly, what are the goals and objectives of VDAO? Our main goal is to incubate regenerative network state communities and solutions. We can go on to the next slide, John. What we are like with VDAO, we're a community of people that are interested in regenerative living in its broadest sense. People that are optimistic about the future, they want to live a more regenerative lifestyle, and they want to meet other people that are interested in that stuff and come together and really start building in this area, bringing together technology, nature, and community. We're really excited by the number of people we've met in the Web3 ecosystem, and also in like the permaculture, the regen ag, and the general kind of regenerative ecosystem that share our values and that are interested in this stuff. And VDAO is a place for us to come together. It's a bridge from people from different kind of backgrounds, disciplines to come together and build exciting communities and exciting solutions together. We can go on to the next slide. So very briefly, when we talk about regenerative network states, what do we mean by that? You'll hear us talking about this a lot in VDAO. It's a term that we first started using when we launched at ETH Denver back in February of this year. And what regenerative network states are it's like networks of communities that have self-custody over their food, water, energy, shelter, data, and digital assets. And when we talk about this, we're not talking about like just one regenerative network state. It's not like we're building one thing. What we're trying to facilitate with VDAO is a whole range of regenerative network states. We want to support these kind of communities to be springing up all over the world. And it's not about going to extremes and going off grid and like going and like living in the woods and stuff. These are like places where we can enjoy modern luxuries, tech, and comfort, particularly in times of stability. But if we're facing like a shock to the external systems, be it another kind of pandemic or whatever shock that the external systems might be facing, these communities will have the capacity to sustain themselves because they're producing their own food, energy, water, and they have thriving communities that can sustain themselves in times of instability. they're resilient and even anti-fragile. So they even get stronger through the adversity and the shocks that they face. And briefly, what do we mean when we talk about regenerative living? So when we talk about regenerative living, we're talking about leveraging technology whilst partnering with nature and using technology to provide nutrient-dense food, clean water, renewable energy. Regenerative living is like the foundational principle behind the regenerative network state movement. It's the kind of approach to building that's going to help us kind of build this up and scale it out. Cool. So briefly, what are the goals and objectives that we're currently focused on within VDAO? Um, like I said, I really want to get you guys involved in discussion and open to Q&A, so I'm going to go through this relatively fast, but if you guys want any more information about this, like please ask in Discord at any time, or um, also you can reach out for a call. But just kind of going through this as quickly as possible, we're focused on education and awareness raising. We're offering opportunities for people to engage in peer-to-peer education and learning or about what regenerative network states are and what regenerative living is, and raising awareness about the potential that these approaches and kind of principles hold. Next slide. We're also focused on our second goal and objective, which is community building and creating space for our connections to form between community members. So you'll have seen over the course of the last 8 months, 9 months since we launched that we've held a number of events, mostly crypto conference side events, but also local community meetups. And the objective there is to create space for people to come together that believe in regenerative living, that want to start kind of introducing some of these principles and learn more, to kind of come together and meet other people that share these values and are really also excited about this kind of lifestyle, the regenerative living lifestyle. Alongside this, we've not kind of lost touch with the more Web3 elements, and although we haven't been actively pursuing product development within the community as a whole, we're very open-minded, and a lot of our members and our contributors are building products, and there are a lot of interesting conversations that are happening around like how do we use token-based solutions, how do we incentivize people to engage in regenerative living, and how do we build products that are aligned with these values. As we move into 2025, these are going to be foregrounded more and more within the DAO as we start trying to build out the DAO and build out products that are going to scale. So you can, in 2025, you can you'll see that these areas will become more prominent in the DAO. Cool. So what have we been up to since our last community call? The most significant one, if we can go to the next slide. Actually, let's start off with virtual events. And Ben, are you there? Is your mic fixed?
Yeah, I believe so. I was having audio
Sweet.
troubles earlier, so thank you, John, for stepping up and helping with the slides. So yeah, if you want, we could take a look at last month in terms of the virtual events. There were several prominent virtual events that were held. The one obviously on digital wallets with Gardner was a very interesting virtual event where we explored the differences in custodial versus non-custodial wallets, security and safety of wallets, and Gardner also shared with us the creation of their new wallet, unicorn.eth, which is a very interesting product as well. We also did a Spaces on the Future of Energy with Dalton talking about VPPs and the different relationships that currently exist between the grid operators and consumers and the development of more community solar. Um, these are great opportunities for P2P learning that we encourage everybody to continue to join. Of course, we also have recordings of these on our YouTube channel as well.
Cool. Thanks, man. So coming back to our in-person events, over the last month, the biggest event that we had obviously was Devcon, and it was really a huge success on so many levels. We kicked off with this bike ride, and I have to say, like when we came up with this idea, I didn't know if anyone was going to show up because it was at like 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, the first day of the conference, and but as it happens, they're really into that, in the crypto ecosystem. We've got runs happening, and every time there's a conference, there's like some community run that's been organized by some DAO. So we took that idea and we hosted this cycle through the jungle. We had like over 350 people, was it, Ben? Something like that signed up. Quite a lot of people signed up, and then on the day we had around 40 plus people cycling through the lush green jungle in Bangkok, and it was just like such a great way to kick off the week. We cycled through this botanical garden, and then we cycled around to the Vidal Villa, and everyone was dipping in the pool, and like people were like cutting dragon fruits and having some drinks and just hanging out. And it was really nice to move from this kind of virtual digital space to the real world space, and meet people in person that had been joining the DAO recently. And that vibe just continued throughout the whole week, and continued to build. We had over the course of the week around 250 people came through the villa, and the vibes were really positive. We finished it off with a pool party, um, and I think, did I just see Alessandro pop into the this chat?
Yes,
Um,
I arrived at the right
you're
time.
you're just in time, man. Do you want to talk about Animal Social Club's involvement with that party?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I just heard that you were telling about the week. That was a great experience and great vibes for all the people that swing by, and yeah, that we ended up with this pool party. And sure, I mean, with Animal Social Club, we try to bring even more vibes, I will say, and like to organize in the best possible way. Let's say all the music and yeah, sound system, DJ, and all the scenography kind of. And yeah, it was pretty sick, pretty cool. I'm eagerly waiting the pictures, photos, and videos from Luke to see. We already did some cool posts with like some pictures and video we did with our phones, but yeah, I mean, it was very great experience. And uh, yeah, that was all the people that swing by. They gave me like so much positive vibes and feedbacks that I'm very excited to for the next one. So yeah, thank you so much, and yeah, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, man, it was great. I think you talk about Animal Social Club bringing the vibes. I think that's like you definitely did that, and the DJ choice was just great. Like the DJ was his set was really good, and I'm excited to continue that into the future as we kind of build out these events, have bigger events and bigger parties. I think there is a lot of potential for us to continue that collaboration in the future. So yeah, super excited about that.
Yeah, on this,
Um,
just want to give you a little spoiler. We are developing internally a sort of events toolbox so that in the future, probably next year, our partners will be able also to scale more this kind of events and vibes. So yeah, I will keep you posted on that.
Very cool. John, I know you're, and also Josh, you're both here. You were at the villa. Is there anything that you guys want to add about your experience there, or anything that you want to kind of share about your time at the villa in Devcon?
Throw a little quick something. My mic good here. Good audio.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Perfect. Yeah, I think one of the points that was kind of a topic of discussion across everybody was the value of putting in effort. And first, there was a little bit of chat about, this is kind of off the beaten path. There were some challenges with transport, concerns about whether people would make it out there. And even though it's really close, it was what, 30, 40 minutes away or something from kind of the hub. But I think we all landed on the same spot, which was like to have a place that people could go, which was really detached from the hustle and bustle and from all the craziness, really immersed in nature, and also something where people had to actually put some effort to get in and engage with it and actually participate, and the value in that. So, for us and what we're doing with Loki and everything, there's definitely a concept that's like we need to put in the effort to break out of the urban shell and get out to nature. And so I think there's actually a really valuable element there where you're detached from the concrete jungle and you're able to immerse yourself in that natural jungle. And then the effort of getting there is part of the journey. And when you arrive in this space, there's a really good feeling and really good connection with everyone else who's kind of made the journey to get there. So it's kind of reaffirming, I think that discovery that a lot of people were talking about, and saying let's keep hanging out in nature. It's where we're supposed to be.
I love it, man. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree, and I heard the same thing from multiple, people, that the setting was great. Traveling from the convention Devcon area took a bit of time, but frankly, anything getting around that city with the traffic took time. And the people, like you could see it sort of and even smell it, like getting greener and greener as you got closer to the villa. Some people were able to take the river. That was definitely a shortcut. But yeah, a lot of great conversations. So I thought our workshops were excellent. They were sort of a mix of some sharing knowledge, sharing by Kevin and others, and then really good, conversation. So it felt very organic in that sense as well. And yeah, we had a lot of attendees. Feel bad that apparently Joe Lubin got dropped off in a taxi in the wrong place. He had every intention of making it, but hopefully he was the only one. And he did make it to a temple, I think he said so. Yeah, it was a great week.
I could throw in one more other thing that I think was really valuable was the food.
Oh,
So
yeah.
having local folks that were making local food and getting that local cuisine and having food just kind of flowing in there. I bet you a lot of the people in there have not actually experienced fruit as it's naturally supposed to taste, especially if you're coming from North America or Europe. So I think that cultural touch and also just the locality of the food, the engagement of a local team of people working on it, that was just, food is critical to community. It's just a cornerstone. So that was just a really good touch also. Just wanted to bring that up.
That's really true. And I would say, like at DevCon, they did make an effort to have some different types of food, but in reality, it was like 3 different stands, right? And some Asian, but this was Thai people cooking Thai food, and nice variety. And yeah, it
And
was really,
engaged, like that
yeah,
experience of cooking in the community
right
with
there.
people
Yeah.
just milling around the kitchen and having this space is there's something that's really valuable there. It wasn't like it was catered. It wasn't like it was prepared someone and brought in on trays. It's all happening there. It's happening live. You're smelling the experience. You're able to eat along with it. So that whole entire immersion is a pretty important element, I think.
Yeah, if anybody's happened to see the one of the photos I tweeted of the workshop when Kevin's giving the workshop, or maybe it was actually the Arcrene discussion you were doing, Chris. But in any case, that was where I was sitting, was right next to the kitchen where all the food was, and then right behind it was a pool. So it was really good.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your experience, guys. I completely agree. I think there is a lot that we can take from that, and I think what I what I noticed over the course of the week is that it seemed to attract a lot of builders, which is what that was like our intention. And at that point you made, Josh, about it being slightly further away, like people had to make a bit of effort to get there. So we seemed to attract people that were really embedded in the network state space. You know, they were working on their own projects. Like we had people from Europe working on network state projects, a guy that is building in Japan, and like basically in New Zealand, like basically all over the world, different exciting network state projects. People were coming together in this VDAO pop-up experience, and I love that that VDAO is starting to take on that role within the community that's creating these spaces. Not that we're like trying to create just one regenerative network state and that's our mission. It's about creating the space for all these regenerative network states to spring up all over the world. And yeah, I'm excited to see like that starting to happen and people coming together. And I think into next year, 2025, we're just going to keep building on that and try and kind of have bigger and bigger events over the course of the year. Cool. So we can move on to the next slide. So just looking ahead briefly to what we've got coming up on the virtual events side, we've got our Twitter Spaces is next week, I think, with Yalor from Metacartel. That should be really good. Yalor's got a lot of experience in the space, and if you're around, come dive in. He's always very willing to answer questions from the community, so would love to see some of you there. Then we've got a lunch and learn with you, Josh, right? That's coming up on the 10th. Is there anything you want to share about that?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. I have some interesting points and topics that I'm still getting over to Ben here, but I think we're gonna actually have something pretty fun to announce there. Pretty big
Sweet.
thing that we've been working on for a while here that we've kind of chatted about a little bit, but we are right on the precipice of officially kind of announcing that and launching. So yeah, that's
Nice.
gonna be exciting. Really looking forward to it.
Cool. That's on December 10th. Then just before Christmas on the 17th, we've got a call with Danilo on data for regenerative land design. And then that brings us into the new year with our community call coming up in January, where we'll be kind of laying out our plans for the year ahead. Cool. Upcoming in real life events, we've got a big event happening in Bangalore. It's ETH India in like I think next week. I'm getting a bit of feedback here on my mic. Are you guys hearing me okay? Yeah,
I hear
coming
you.
through okay. Okay, no worries. Yeah, Bangalore, there'll be more information coming out about that soon. That should be pretty good because we found out in Thailand at Bangkok, there's tons of people from Bangalore in our DAO. So they're going to be meeting up on the 9th of December. If anyone in the community wants to host an event in their area, we've got a budget to support you to do that. And we really, really actively encourage people to bring people together in their local community. It's
Oh, we just
really
lost you, Chris.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I heard you the whole time. Was it
Yep, I
dropping
can
out?
hear you.
Okay. Cool. Let me know if I'm dropping out. I don't know. I think there was some feedback on the line, but I'm not sure if it was my mic or someone else's. Yeah, so if you want to host a V community meetup in your area, there's a form in the Discord that you can complete, and we'll support you to do that. It's a great opportunity to bring people together in your local area, and it's a heavy social focus with these events. It's a very light lift in terms of like what the expectations are on the VDAO side. We just really want to give people the opportunity to come together under the theme of regenerative living. And if there's people in your community that are interested in that and you want to get together, have drinks, pizzas, we'll support you to do that. And there's already been quite a few successful meetups happening, and I expect that to continue and accelerate into the new year. I think this is going to become a real, it already is in a way. It's like the heart of the DAO, like these in real life meetups and experiences. Excited to see that evolve over the coming months.
Yeah, it might be fun next month to do a globe with pins on all the locations where we've had them and where they're coming up.
Yeah, good call. So if anyone wants to get involved in any of this, like building out these kind of the infrastructure behind the DAO, we've got there's various opportunities for you to contribute. If we could go on to the next slide, some of the main areas at the moment, like the most active parts of the DAO, are the event circle and the governance circle. So looking ahead in terms of from the perspective of the event circle, ETH Denver is going to be a big one for us. We're going to try and build on what we offered at Devcon and kind of take it up to the next level in a way, and try and kind of welcome more people into the space and offer some of the workshops and opportunities for people to connect. But we're really nailing down the specifics of that right now within the event circle. If you want to get involved in planning ETH Denver or any other of the conference side events throughout 2025, the event circle is like always welcoming new members. So feel free to reach out and get involved. The other most active part of the DAO is the governance circle. Is there anything you want to add there, John, about the governance circle? Or
Yeah, maybe just similarly that we encourage people to join. We've got a really good group, core group that's been meeting. I don't know, what has it been, 5 months or so, and then a few people have added in. There's some crossover with like the events circle, but really good discussions. In some ways, kind of meta discussions at this point, prior to VDAO having a treasury or a token. But so working on things like the process for reimbursing for meetups and evaluating those, but with an eye toward what's coming in the future, such as product, token, treasury, etc. So really good group and good discussions.
cool. Cheers, man. So I think this might be the last slide. Oh no, there's one more. Yeah, so areas you can support. Ben and the kind of content circle are super happy if anyone wants to like support the socials. I know that several people like help with retweeting the content. That helps build our reach and build our engagement, and we'd encourage you to continue doing that. That's really a huge help. If there's anyone you want to see on our Twitter Spaces, please reach out to Ben, let him know, and we'll try and get those people booked in. The same with like lunch and learns and topics for lunch and learns. If there's a topic that really interests you under the theme of regenerative living or something maybe more Web3 or maybe more network state focused, then you can share suggestions, let Ben know directly, or share it, drop it in the Discord in the ideas and feedback channel. And yeah, we'll try and make that happen. And also like if you're working on something and you've got like an interested project or something you're doing and you want to come and share that with the community, there's this monthly community voices session that's designed specifically for that. And I would encourage everyone, it's like a great opportunity to introduce something that you're working on, like your project or your network state or whatever, like whatever it is you're building, or even something small scale, whether it's, I know we had Nahid on talking about like her homestead and stuff like that. So it's a very broad kind of space in that sense. You can bring anything that's of interest that within the theme of regenerative living, regenerative network states, to the community voices once a month. Cool. And then the final thing is just the question of the month, as you know, is in Discord, and the final thing is the V community meetups, which we already touched upon. And I think we're on to discussion at this point. Yeah, if you want to become a contributor, complete the form, and that link there will also take you to the contributor form. So I'm really keen to open up the floor, but like for discussions and chat and stuff. But I'm also want to flag up that so I think Matt is Matt here? Are you here, Matt?
What's up, Chris?
Hey man, welcome. Yes, I want to just introduce or give Matt, give you a chance to introduce yourself and your project. Matt's from Network State Connect, and I already dropped this in the Discord that there's this really cool course on DAOs that's being run through Matt's project, and I invited Matt along to kind of talk a bit about in a bit more detail about like what the Network State Connect is and what this course is. So yeah, feel free to introduce yourself and yeah, what you're working on, Matt.
Nice, thank you, Chris. Good to see some of you guys, some familiar faces here, Josh. Ben and I have chatted on Twitter. We had like a near miss when you guys came to Boulder and did some presenting. I live in Boulder, Colorado, and so I'm friends with, if you guys know, the Regen Hub. There was a VDAO presentation there recently. And then shortly after that, I was in Nashville for the Bitcoin conference, and I ran into Mark for the first time, and we got along really well. And I loved his vision for regenerative network states. I practiced permaculture in my 20s for almost 5 years. I got certified in Costa Rica, and then I was living in unintentional communities, and growing food and increasing the well-being of the ecology and stuff. So that was a great time in my life. I after that moved to New York City and have done very little permaculture since then. Unfortunately, I've spent some time on those farms, but it's deep in my heart and I love it. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about this DAO course we have coming up, and then about Network State Connect, and see if you guys have any questions about that. But there's a lot of overlap in terms of values, I think, between our organizations. I got into network states probably 4 years ago or something, right when Balaji was writing the book. He had a Discord server called 1729, and he would do these VR lectures to everybody. Have people here heard about that 1729 server? No? Josh heard a little bit? Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, I was part of that, and I led a writers cohort there. If you guys know Angelo from Build Cities, he contributed, and we had some other people that you guys are probably familiar with that were part of that. And that server was an amazing experience, but the problem was that we couldn't add anybody to it. Balaji kind of had the keys, and he kind of had it how he wanted it size-wise. And we wanted to do different things. We wanted to do new cohort-based experiences for people who are passionate about network states, because it was just such high signal, when you can get a bunch of people together who are passionate about this stuff. It's such an incredible experience. And especially when you bring a newbie in who isn't familiar with what it's like to be around a global community that are all pushing towards this kind of a future. It's so exciting. So we wanted to create a community like that, because 1729 sort of was kind of in its phase. It couldn't grow, and now it's transitioned over to the network school server. And so we'll see that that's kind of going on and doing its own thing, and it's great. We have friends in the network school, but we decided to fork off and start this thing, Network State Connect. And our goal with Network State Connect is to bring together network states and give them the opportunity to give teachings. So for example, VDAO might want to do a course on regenerative agriculture and around the network state and why that's valuable. You know, Mark has like this whole spiel. He just laid it on me when I met him, how important it is to connect the land to the network state concept, right? And that sovereignty angle. And so with Network State Connect, we want to provide network states an opportunity to provide that kind of information to the community and also bring people together from all kinds of different network states so that it's like a sharing. And so that everybody can kind of like, you get a broader sense of the field. And our first course is going to be a DAO course. It launches next Tuesday. It's with the co-author of a book called How to DAO, with Kevin Owocki is advising. He wrote that book. It is going to be put out by Penguin in January. And so we're doing this first course in 2 weeks, and then we'll probably do another one afterwards. But it's with his co-author, Hunkar. And the thinking behind the course is we want to offer skills which we think would be valuable for any network state member, right? If somebody comes in and they say, I'm interested in the network state, like what's next? Well, we think like understanding DAOs and understanding governance online and understanding how people can coordinate and distribute resources is a base level skill, right? Something you should be able to understand and be conversant and to contribute to any network state. And so this is kind of like a basic bar. And so we're teaching that. And then in the future, we have a bunch of different courses lined up around financial sovereignty and data and information sovereignty and for network forming online on Twitter and stuff, AI. And so, yeah, our goal is to upskill people and give them an opportunity to both gain an understanding of network states through like a deep context, through like a learning environment, but also it's cohort based. And so it's very social. And when you join the community, let's say VDAO, because you guys are all invited to join, let's say VDAO joins, you're given the role of VDAO. And then if some Build Cities guys come in, they have the role of Build Cities. And if Praxis guys come in, they have the role of Praxis. And so you can kind of see that it's people with this network state already that are coming in and either learning about this or like helping just contribute and teaching the next generation, you know, like the newer people who are less experienced, you're contributing to their knowledge and then maybe attracting them back to your project. That's a big thing. We don't want to be an endpoint for anyone at Network State Connect. We want people to be able to come in, meet cool projects through skill building, and then join those projects. So we want to kind of be an accelerator to the space. And so I'll drop a couple links here. This is a course description, and then if you click outside of it, you'll see a little bit about Network State Connect. The website is still like slightly in beta, but oh wait, that's not going to work. Hang on, let me copy it differently. It's slightly in beta, but we just had to release it because the course is coming out. So I just gave you a course description. This is a sign up for the course if you guys want. This is a Network State Insider, so it's $50 off from what you see there on the in the description. And then if you guys want to come in as a group, we have a group discount. We'll take another 50% off for any VDAO people that want to come in, just because we consider you high value, love the way you guys are stitching the community together. A couple parting thoughts. As I mentioned, I'm based in Boulder. And so if you guys are doing any ETH Denver stuff, like could be fun to collaborate over that kind of that program. I don't know if you know, the Regen Hub is putting on an Ethereum localism conference, I think for 2 days or something. We're buddies with those guys, and so we'll be kind of hanging around. It's unconference, and so we'll probably lead a thing or two. But if you guys are doing something else that's a little more formal, we're happy to talk about doing that too, or just come hang out at Regen Hub or whatever you guys have in mind. And so we'd love to contribute to that. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, and if you guys want to, if there's interest here, we're going to meet every Tuesday from next Tuesday on through Christmas, like 3 Tuesdays till Christmas. Then we take 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's, and then we meet again for 2 more Tuesdays, and that'll be the scope of the cohort. And you'll get a crypto credential at the end. And yeah, it'll be a fun time. It'll be a good time to get together with the Network State people. So I'll cut it off there, and let me know if you guys have any questions.
Sounds very cool, man. And yeah, I'd love to follow up about ETH Denver. I think there's yeah, lots to discuss there for sure. Does anyone have any questions for Matt?
Matt, that course sounds awesome. Matai tuning in. I've been in New York for a bit, but I'll be driving back towards the West Coast, so it might be stopping through Denver. Would love to swing by the Regen Hub and check out the course. Hopefully, I'll sign up with y'all and run through that. Thanks for sharing.
That'd be amazing, Matai. You're not in cabin, are you?
I am, but I've defected from cabin leadership, and I'm trying to get them to be more like a DAO. So this maybe will help.
Bro, are you the Matai that lives in Ojai?
Yes.
Do you know that we know each other? Do you
Yes.
recognize me?
Yeah. I recognized your
I'm
face.
from Ojai. I'm from Ojai, and I met this dude. It's a town of 8,000 people. It's very unusual to run into people. That's sick, dude.
We all met at the Build Cities conference during last week's Denver. I think that's where we first connected. We were hanging around there with Angelo and Chris.
Yeah, dude. Okay, very good. By the way, I'm going to be in Ojai for Christmas. Are you coming back? Are you going to live there still?
Yes, yeah. I'm just in the process of moving my mom out there to live with us. So that's
Great.
what we're doing in New York.
Okay.
And I'm really excited about that kind of hub model because we hosted our first VDAO meetup and it was awesome. There was like a local regenerative grazing meetup. We partnered with this nonprofit for it. And one of my questions was, as I've been busy working remote and packing, I haven't had a chance to tap into as much of these calls. So this question is maybe for Chris and the VDAO team about kind of what you guys see as the roadmap for VDAO hubs, and then also kind of what you think about frequency of events. Because as I get back, I would love to host some events, especially around supporting the local homeless encampment there. There's a tent city or tent village that they're building into a cabin tiny house village that they got funding for the city to do. So we were thinking about doing some like holiday come by and volunteer to cook some food for the people living there, or help with some earthworks to prepare for rain for the tent city, to like build some diversion swales away from where all their tents are and stuff. And I thought it could be a fun community building activity. But I wasn't also sure like what the frequency I should aim for VDAO events might be. And also, I know you guys are figuring all this out, so I don't expect a definitive answer, but what sounds good to y'all?
I'm going to sign off really quick, by the way. Great to see everybody. I look forward to hearing back from you and definitely coordinating on some stuff in the future. Peace.
Yep.
Peace, Matt.
Cheers, Matt. See you. Yeah, so great questions. And this is all stuff that we're thinking a lot about, particularly like in the governance circle and the event circle. I think the short answer is like whatever the local community feels comfortable with, we would support that. For example, in Munich, where I'm targeting like a monthly meetup to try and build momentum, but that might increase it as the group builds and kind of gets to know one another a bit better. I think ultimately, the long-term vision is that we're supporting local groups to actually purchase permanent locations, and for them to get to that stage, there needs to be a group that's like committed enough to make that happen, to turn that permanent location into a sustainable business that's going to kind of sustain that. And VDAO, the role of VDAO in that process will be to like facilitate that process. And we're working on a playbook to kind of support people to think about like the regenerative elements of the property and the land, and also to think a little about like how that would sustain itself through some, maybe it's like co-working or events or ecotourism or some kind of revenue stream. And the role of the DAO is like supporting those local communities to get to that stage. So it's like maybe starting off with a meetup once every couple of months, maybe building up to once every month, once every week, and then eventually looking to actually buy a property.
Amazing.
If that makes
Very
sense.
exciting. Yeah. I love that model. I look at real estate in Upper Ojai specifically, and it's like, millions of dollars plus. But there are lots of aligned people. So I wonder if we'd be able to like prototype, and some people have like offered land for initiatives, and there are some really amazing parcels that could do some amazing work, but we would just need $1 million business plans to provide the financials for that, unless there were some other backers. But there's the local bowling alley has been abandoned for a few years, and so a bunch of us have been talking about how we can turn that into like a co-op community hub. But of course, we're running into zoning challenges, and why is it abandoned? Because they said you can't use the parking lot anymore, so they don't have parking spaces to run it as a functioning any kind of storefront. So anyway, yeah, I guess, and then I think I need to tap into more of the event circle stuff. I keep missing on my calendar, because one thing I would love to help with is like, okay, how can I keep bringing more people from into VDAO to understand what VDAO is doing, because a lot of them are like hardcore permaculturists, but many of them don't have crypto, aren't Web3 native, and so I've been trying to help get us ready for the next Gitcoin round and trying to look at other like funding rounds, and could see that as a way of like helping people see the good side of crypto rather than just thinking it's a bunch of scams and a waste of energy. That no, this is like a foundation for how we can redesign how we collaborate as communities. And so I'm super stoked to keep being a part of what y'all are doing. Excited to hear a little bit more on the roadmap, and definitely want to keep being involved.
Yeah, it's really great to have you part of the community, man, particularly with all your cabin experience that you bring. And I think these questions that you're asking are like very present for us at the moment. Is like we're kind of trying to figure that out as we go. And the plan, so we've been working on a kind of overview of what we've done this year, and also looking at our goals for 2025. And we're planning on having there'll either be a town hall just for contributors. We haven't decided yet. It'll either just be for contributors, or we'll do it in the January community call. But essentially, that will be laying out and trying to answer some of those questions that you raise about like, how do we bring in people that are not crypto native, that are more for the permaculture community, and like, what are our objectives for the year? And part of that is going to be about the relationship between these local autonomous groups, figuring out a way to govern and enable those communities to govern themselves, whilst also benefiting from having this international DAO, which will be able to provide resources to them to kind of promote their goals. And the final thing I'll say is that so within our ecosystem, we've got Verge Permaculture. Verge Permaculture is part of like Fifth World, and has been educating people in permaculture for many years. There's around 10,000 people within that community who are like mostly homesteaders, not crypto natives, very many of them very like hesitant about crypto. But we're actively thinking about ways we can invite them in, and we haven't done that yet because we want it to be done in a way that feels like it's like safe and also appropriate, that they're coming into a crypto community, like it makes sense to them, it's adding value to them. So that's going to be a big focus in the lead up to ETH Denver in particular, and we'll be sharing more about that in the next kind of 4 weeks or so.
Super stoked. It's amazing to like help build the bridges between all these groups that are doing the amazing work to really help mobilize. And I heard like plans for a 501c3, the opportunity to access a fiscal sponsor who's aligned. So all of a sudden communities can run tax deductible donations for these projects. Like, I think that's a huge unlock. And so way to really think intentionally about this foundation as you get ready to welcome people in. Snaps to the team. I've got more I could talk about, but I'll leave the floor to others and start tapping into more of the contributor calls.
Cool, man. Thanks a lot. It's great to see you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Jumping in real quick, kind of cosign. Good to see you, Matai, man, and have you in the mix here. Yeah, that's like, I think really what VDAO is serving, and something that we're really working hard on our end to integrate is decentralization and regeneration, like the decentralized and regenerative solutions, and how those things coming together are actually what are going to support people. And then the next layer of that is another thing that you guys are exemplifying, which is really the local impact and the local community, but networked. And I think we talked a little bit about this, but it's those kind of four-way combinations, which is decentralized benefiting regenerative, and regenerative like growing from decentralized, and then the benefits of local community, and then networking all these local efforts. That's like 100% where we're at and trying to push this message forward. And we've got a bunch of people in our audience that are like 50s, 60s farmers, and they're trying to figure out what to do. They don't know about this crypto stuff. They don't even like that word. I don't either. I don't care about crypto, but to be able to demonstrate to them that there are solutions that come from decentralization that will benefit them and benefit their desires to produce agriculture, it's powerful stuff. So I guess I'm just echoing and co-signing on that, but let's keep that integration happening and bringing all these different audiences and pulling in all these little threads to weave that new tapestry.
Yes, yes, I love it. And I'll share that one thing we're doing is at the farm that we co-hosted the VDAO meetup with, they're launching like youth education programs. And they've actually got another nonprofit focused on fire resiliency has access to this like $10 million grant to build 2 resiliency centers in our neighborhood. So I think it could, and I've been talking with them about opportunities to collab. But one thing with like older people and farmers, with the transition of farmland that's going to happen in the US, I think it's incredibly important for us to figure out how this can not just get bought up by large private equity agribusiness that are just going to deplete the soil and wreak havoc on our ecosystems. Instead, how could we like train up the next generation of younger farmers who are going to be excited to like do this as a community, recognizing like how hard farming is alone. Way easier when you got a handful of people living on site and a bunch of people rotating through. So we're thinking about kind of creating like a rotational apprenticeship program, and trying to work on some more housing for that kind of stuff as well.
Very, very cool. Yeah. Any other thoughts, comments, questions before we wrap up?
Josh, where are you at? I see your amazing Eco Village background-esque thing. I was just curious where in the world you're. And no, if I don't mean to dox you if you don't share that for any reason.
Man, I've been doxing myself now for the last like 2 years. Came out of my cave and ended up in videos, and my name's popping up in places, which is very uncomfortable considering my background. But here I am, man. Somebody's gotta step up. This actually is this is all architectured and engineered out for our property up in Puget Sound. So that's one of our first locations, and it's right by the water in the forest, surrounded by wetlands, but like 40 minutes from Seattle, basically. And then our next spot is Central Texas, Austin area. We're going to Asheville, and we have a property in Panama that we're getting ready to develop out on the Caribbean coast. So yeah, a bunch of different locations, and I'm everywhere.
Amazing, amazing. We tour up into the Pacific Northwest in our van, so hope to come by and visit sometime.
Well, 100%, and I've got you on target for. I'll reach out to you here. We've been working on a pretty big plan, and SoCal is going to be one of our stops here on a big campaign we're running. So, I think need to see what we got in Ohio so we can set stuff up there in the area with you.
Amazing. Yes, looking forward to it. Great to connect.
Cool, guys. I'm mindful of time, but also want to give space if there's anyone else that has any thoughts or things that we haven't covered before we wrap up. Any final questions, comments, thoughts? No. Okay, cool. Well, it was great that you all made it. It's really cool to hang out. And
all right, can I throw one last thing out? Just super fast.
Go for it, Josh.
Chris, you are the boss. I just want to give a quick shout out for like the whole Villa event. And I mean, it was a team effort. You're going to give credit to everybody else, of course, but there was chaos, pandemonium. There was a lot of stuff to do. You just kept your level head and pushed through it. And so I just need to recognize that and say, like, keep handling it. That's it.
I really appreciate that, man. But yeah, it was totally a team effort. Like, and it was kind of like somehow everything just got done. And I love that about DAOs. And like there's people there that we're all aligned. We wanted the thing to be successful, and we pulled it off together. So I think it bodes well for the future of VDAO that we've got so many people around that have got that share similar values. They're into regeneration, and they see how this thing can build and grow. And we're kind of on the ground floor right now, just gradually building up. And yeah, great to see you all here. And we'll catch up again.
In not all DAOs does everything get done. So the prep, and we did a lot when we were there, but you laid the groundwork, and there was a lot for us to work with. So it was duly noted. I agree.
Still requires leadership.
Yeah, planning, hard work. Ben too.
Yeah. We also had Ben behind the scenes, that's important to point out. Ben wasn't there, but he was doing a lot, and he did a lot of operations stuff. So thanks a lot, Ben, for that.
I was there in spirit, so.
For sure. Cool.
Cool.
Thank you so much,
Great to see you all.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll catch up again next month.
Peace out,
Bye.
everyone.
Have a
Thanks,
nice
yeah.
one.